Isn't it so annoying when the prettiest girl in the room and like the most fit girl in the room, they pick themselves apart and they're always picking on their body and saying they wish they looked different. And you're like, girl, if I looked like you, like my life would be magical. Honestly, what's just as annoying is like, I used to be that girl. As you can see in the thumbnail, I was, I still am, but I was in really good shape. This was shortly after I started to exercise more consistently and after I really started to get into fitness. And I believe I probably just got certified as a personal trainer shortly after that thumbnail photo. But even after I got the breast implants, which I thought literally would fix my body image and I would never pick on another part of my body ever again, and it would be like the thing that fixed me. Like, even when I looked like that, I still struggled with my body image. In that photo, so I got breast implants a little bit before I turned 24. So in that photo, I was probably 25. And at this point, I was already struggling with my body and my weight and my size for well over a decade. It started at the age of like 15 for me. So I got a job at a grocery store, and in between customers, I would look at the shelves and there would be like fitness magazine and health magazine and cosmopolitan magazine. And as a 15-year-old, I would see all these really pretty women on the cover, and I would be like, I want to look like that. It's also around the time where I really fell in love with fitness. And so I was really reading like a lot of fitness magazines and all of that. And I discovered that if I ate a certain way, and if I exercised a certain way, and if I stayed away from certain foods, and if I ate at certain times and avoided these things, that I could look like them. So my body image struggles really started at a very young age. I have a photo here of me. This was probably when I was like 14. I don't know if you can see it. But it was shortly after I got my period. And after I got my period, I really gained a lot of weight in a short amount of time. And I became very insecure in my body. I used to hate wearing shorts to school. If I did wear shorts to school, I would look in the classroom and just be like, oh my God, I hope somebody else is wearing shorts, because I just felt like everybody was looking at my legs, even though like probably nobody was. But I was just so insecure with my body. I gained a lot of weight in a short amount of time. And this is also like when the dieting started for me, which like looking back, it's like, girl, you got better things to do in life than to like count calories and care about food and all this, but I digress. During this time, I was also into like MTV, and I loved the show The Biggest Loser. And so on MTV, I really looked up to Carmen Electra. Pamela Anderson was okay, but there were the girls that got the breast implants, and it was no big deal. And it's just like what everybody did if you didn't develop boobs. And so when I was 19, I told myself, like, as soon as I can afford breast implants, I am getting them. And then I also watched The Biggest Loser. And so back then, I was subconsciously being programmed to think and believe that in order for me to be beautiful and attractive, like I need to have this type of body. And I was also being programmed to believe, like through The Biggest Loser, that like being fat or having fat, I like to say just having fat was just unacceptable. And if you had fat on your body, like you need to figure out how to have very minimal fat, be a stick figure. Also around this time was the time of supermodels. So everybody was super thin. I remember being in high school and thinking like, I need a really flat butt. And then of course, 5-6 years later comes the Kardashians. And then it's like, I need to grow a butt. Oh my gosh. It's just, we go through so much. And if we're not aware of what we're looking at and the stories that we're telling ourselves, like as we're seeing the images or as we're seeing the people or as we're scrolling social media, like the stories of like, oh, I need to look like that. Oh, I need to stop doing that. I need to wear that. Like, I need to have that to be pretty. I need to have that to find a man. We tell ourselves like all these stories, and then they turn into beliefs, which I will talk about in another video. But what I'm trying to get at is when I was younger, I struggled with my body image and went to massive extremes and thought that getting the breast implants in my 20s would be like the thing to fix me. And I will admit that looking back at that picture on the thumbnail of me in the bikini, like for a long time, I felt like I did look good. And I was like, finally, I got breast implants. I can wear the cute lingerie and the bathing suits and the cute tops that I just really couldn't. Or not that I couldn't, but I chose not to because I was self-conscious in those tops and bathing suits because I didn't fill them out. But my point is that even somebody who you think is really pretty, and even somebody who you think just like has the most beautiful body, they can still struggle with their body image too. So it's like, how does this happen? And these are my two main points that I want to get across in this video. And one is to never judge a book by its cover, because you really never know what that person is struggling with behind the scenes when they're home alone. I never assume that somebody who is in the body positive movement or somebody who's just naturally thin or just gorgeous, I never assume that they think that they got it going on, even if they come off as confident on social media, because a lot of times women will come out a couple years later and they'll talk about how they struggled with body dysmorphia, or during this time when they looked really good, that they struggled with eating disorders. And so we never really know what another woman is doing or putting herself through to look a certain way. Like when I was going through my body image issues, like in my 20s, I was over-exercising like a ton. I was under eating. I was on a very strict eating regimen, like eating every 3 hours, no matter what. Making sure I'm counting all my calories, counting my macros. I'm not eating 3 hours before bed. I had so many rules and I just never really listened to my body. And it's probably because I never really just trusted myself or felt comfortable in my skin if I'm sitting here looking back on that. But my second point is you don't need breast implants or a smaller nose or better skin or a bigger butt or a smaller waist to actually feel good and feel happy about who you are. Because my truth is, after I did get breast implants, I was just picking on other body parts. Then it was my stomach wasn't flat enough. This little part right here on my bra, that used to bug the crap out of me. And then I was hyper focusing on my cellulite. So oftentimes we will do the thing, we'll get the nose job or we'll get the breast implants or we'll lose a lot of weight. And then we think, okay, now I'm happy. And you will ride that high for a long time. But then what I find happens is that within a year, typically you are finding something else about your body that you don't like. And it could be your weight, it could be your shape, it could be your eyelashes. It could just literally be anything. And it wasn't until I realized that two things can exist. I can love and appreciate and respect the body that I'm in now and desire to look better. Those two things can exist. It's a very teeter-tottery thin line to be on, but it can happen. It just takes a lot of intentional awareness and practice. The kicker is to do things in a very healthy and flexible and sustainable way. And when I mean do things, I mean exercise and eat. Otherwise, you're going to set yourself up for failure and burnout, which is what I'm going to talk about in my next video. And that's on how to pursue fitness in a way that actually improves your body image. Because if you're anything like me, I was pursuing fitness and weight loss and exercising from a place of forcing myself and restricting myself in massive control when it comes to changing the way that my body looks. So I'm going to leave you with these 3 tips. Compliment women on their clothing or on their makeup or on their nails and not on their weight. Don't compare your life or your looks or your body or your material possessions to anybody else's. Try to really focus on what you can do and what you have control of and just being the best version of yourself every single day. Because it's one thing to have a life that looks good on the outside, but it is another thing to feel good on the inside. And the last one, and this is so important, is to know that even though I have a good body image and I'm very aware of when I might be beating myself up about something, it's knowing that we all have bad body image moments or days. There are days where we're going to feel a little bit older or a little bit bigger than what we really are, and that's okay. But the key is to, no matter what, continue to show up and do the things that you were going to do that day, regardless of how you're feeling about your body or about your looks. So I hope that this video helped you in some way. If you would be so kind as to subscribe to my channel, it would really help distribute content like this to other women who might be struggling with their body image or are wanting to learn how to realistically have a better relationship with their body. And I'll see you on the next video.